Hello everybody, we are here in the kitchen tonight with Kelly. She is got a recipe for us that we're going to work on, and this is brought to you by a request by Scott White, I believe. Scott had asked us, he saw that you had, he was following us on Instagram and saw your posts where you had canned chicken broth.
Facebook actually, I think.
Was it Facebook? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so he asked, hey, do you have a recipe of that? Well, Kelly came to the rescue and gave him a recipe, but we also wanted to do a video as well to detail it because it's extremely easy to do. So what are we going to do to make it easy? And oh, by the way, I didn't get the memo. I didn't realize we were dressing up for studio shots tonight. You look nice. I'm in my pajamas. Okay.
Okay, so chicken broth or chicken stock is something that we go through a lot here. And in the past, I've just always purchased it, but most of the ones that you're going to purchase have a lot of extra ingredients that we don't want to add to our food. So now that we raise our own chickens and we know that they're healthy chickens, we want to use them to make our chicken broth. So what we're going to do is I've got a chicken carcass where we have prepared a chicken in the past, and because I didn't have time at the time to go ahead and make that into broth, I just put all of it into the freezer. And so this is mostly thawed, just the chicken carcass and any broth that was left in the pot.
So this is something that you had made in the crock pot for one of our meals, or was this a roasted chicken? Or?
I don't remember what this particular one was, but sometimes I roast them in the oven, sometimes I cook them in the crock pot. Okay. So just whatever you have left over from whatever chicken meal, just the carcass, the bones.
So it's no problem. I think it's kind of neat that the fact that you freeze this, you don't have to go straight to making broth from it. You can freeze it, so that way if you're going to stockpile your chicken carcasses and do more, then obviously you can freeze those as needed.
But because I only make one at a time, it's probably better that I do it at that time, so I don't have a whole bunch of them stored in the freezer like I do right now. Exactly.
It's like a zombie room in the freezer.
So we're trying to make some more space in the freezer. Okay.
Walk in, I'm like, yeah.
So this is just any leftover chicken pieces and anything that you typically don't eat, the bones, the cartilage, just everything that I had left in the pot from where I made this one before. So
did you save the neck for me, Clark? Is it in there?
Yes, the neck is in there as well. Okay.
Now, do you break the bones to help
I
with the
don't. I have not broken the bones, but people do, and so
you just take a cleaver and give it a good whack.
And I think that is to allow the marrow from the bones to be accessed easier, but we get really good broth with the way that I do it, so I just haven't ever tried that, so I don't know.
Okay. All right, so you got your carcass.
Okay, so you've got the carcass, and then it's really easy. I mean, people can add veggies, not add veggies. You just have to play around with it and see. I really don't notice a whole lot of difference in the different ones that I've made. But okay, so I've just got a carrot here and I've just washed it. I didn't peel it. I'm just going to cut off the ends.
So you put veggies, candy bars.
No candy bars. And then just give it a rough chop.
Rough chop.
Throw that in the pot. I've got a couple of celery here, stalks of celery. Again, they're washed, and I'm just going to give those a rough chop as well.
That's pretty rough.
Add those to the pot. Got an onion.
Big onion. How do you peel that?
And this is a really big onion. I'm just going to use half of it.
Huge onion.
And let me tell you, I've been reading lately that you're supposed to use the onion peels as well. Now, I've not washed this one, so I'm not going to use that tonight. And
you don't know where your onion's been, do you?
And I don't really have an idea yet what the benefits of that are. But I've read that on a couple of websites. And this, again, just a rough chop.
So there's really no... You're not looking at certain ratio of ingredients here, right? You're kind of just eyeballing all this.
And maybe I should, but I just never have.
I don't think we've seen any ill effects.
So there's a half of an onion. It was a really large sweet onion, roughly chopped.
I can't take it, man.
The sweet onions won't make you cry.
Oh, so this is something else?
I've got some thyme.
Thyme. That looks like our homemade thyme.
This is homemade thyme.
You've got a lot of thyme.
So I just don't measure. Just put a couple sprigs worth and a little bit of salt.
Salt.
Again, I don't measure, and sometimes I don't even add the salt. And then we're going to add just a bay leaf. This is not open.
It's a brand new package of bay leaf?
Oh no, it's stuck in there.
One bay leaf.
And then just fill it up the rest of the way with water.
So the amount of chicken stock you're going to get is going to be based upon the amount of water, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, whatever size pot you're using, I just fill it up to as much as it will hold.
So this is a 2-gallon pot?
Yeah. Yes.
So do you have to have an Instant Pot to do this?
No, actually I'm going to be using the slow cook method on the Instant Pot. So if you have a crock pot, if you just want to use a stock pot, now this is a 5-gallon stock pot, so you may do 2 carcasses in there. And so anyway, I'm going to put this.
So really the key is kind of potency. That if we could squeeze 2 more carcasses in there, then you'd have a lot more potent chicken stock. Do people make it that potent?
Some people will boil them down and dry out the broth to make bouillon cubes or a powdered form.
Yeah.
To reconstitute.
Is that like the powder you get on the ramen noodles? Is that what that's like?
Probably. Except there's a lot more junk in there.
Probably.
Okay, so on this, if you have an Instant Pot, I'm just going to use the slow cook method and adjust here your time, and adjust by pressing slow cook several times to adjust it to the less, because we just want to cook this on low. And I normally cook hours.
It's gonna blow.
20 to 24 hours. Some people will do it a couple of days. But this is what's worked for us. One thing to be sure, if you are using an Instant Pot, you do not want this on pressure. So always leave it venting. And they do actually make the glass lids for your pressure cooker, so you can see inside when you're just using it for your slow cook function. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to wait 24 hours, take it out, and then we're going to can, right? So we're going to move it over into mason jars, quart jars, and then put it on the pressure canner.
Yes, and if you don't have a pressure canner, in the past I've always just stored it in the freezer. And so since, like I said before, we're trying to free up freezer space, I want to can it and I want to keep it in the pantry.
Yep, I like canning. All right, so what's next?
So we're just going to let that cook, and then we'll be back tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
To
or the next day.
Follow up with the next part of the process.
Okay. Okay, so fast forward, how long has it been?
3 days.
Keep up in video time. Yes, in real life, it's been 3 days. Now, obviously, we didn't have to leave it in the crock pot that long. You took it out of the crock pot when?
I actually left it in for 2 days.
Did you? Okay.
And then I put it in the fridge last night.
Okay. So, why did you put it in the fridge?
Well, I didn't want to cook it any longer, and we weren't ready to do the video. And also, we need to chill the bone broth so that we can make it easier to skim the fat off the top before we can it.
So why do you have to skim the fat?
Because that's what my book says.
Yeah, it's our understanding. Again, we're no canning experts, so always go by your book. Always use your book as your guide.
Yeah.
Even if you watch people on YouTube other than us, always go to your book. But from what we've read, is skimming the fat off is more of a precaution when canning, because that fat can interfere with the canning process, whether it makes an insulation buffer or it can affect the seal. I don't know. But that's what we're doing. So you've cooled that down, and now
so this is cold straight out of the fridge, and I'm just going to very easily skim what's floating on the top.
Save that for breakfast tomorrow. So after we finished the crock pot process, when you took it out, you of course strained everything out, right? We wanted to strain it really well to get all the bits and bone parts and
Right, before we put it in the fridge, we strained everything, all the veggies, the bay leaf, the chicken pieces, the bones, everything. We put it through a sieve and then just put it into our stock pot. And the reason I put it into a stock pot is because we're going to heat this before we can it. We've got to bring it back up to a hot temperature.
Yeah, okay. So looking at it, when we were taking it out of the crock pot, there's still, obviously, there's still some decent bit of meat. The bones were still intact. It's not like they became dissolved or anything. So I understand that some people will even take that exact same carcass and go another lap with it, right?
Yeah, we've read that you can do it again and just continue to maybe 2 and even possibly 3 times cook those bones down and make broth out of it. But as you do that, the collagen levels are going to obviously be decreasing, and the goodness that you're going to get out of it, it's not going to be
potency. Yeah, not going to be as
concentrated. I've not done that, but yeah, we've read online that people do that.
Okay, so now we're ready to take this.
Okay, yep, we've got all the, or most of the fat skimmed off. Okay. And so we're going to heat this.
Okay, so while we're waiting for that to come up to temperature, what we got going on here?
Okay, I have heated water to heat up my lids, and then I just brought that to boiling and then turned it off. Here I've got the right amount of water that my canner calls for, and so I'm going to turn this on and begin to heat this water. And while this is heating, because we have to have hot jars, I'm going to go ahead and put my jars in this water so that they can be heating at the same time.
Behind this is you want to put hot liquid in a hot glass into a hot pot, right?
Right,
we don't want anything cold because it could shatter.
Right. We don't want to break any glass.
Yep.
Okay, so everything is up to temperature. Yeah. And so I'm going to go ahead and remove the jars. And I'm using quart jars. Can obviously do this in pint size or whatever size you want, but we make a lot of soup with our broth, so I've got some already canned in pint jars, so this time I'm going to do quarts. Okay, so we've got it all loaded in our jars, so now we're just going to load the canner.
Got a little bit of broth left over. What you're playing with that?
To drink it.
Drink it. Like right now, you're gonna chug it.
Maybe not chug it, but I might drink a little bit tonight or just tomorrow. It's so good for you. Okay.
So as far as the rest of this, you're just going to follow canning guidelines in the book, right?
Yep, just going to follow. I guess maybe canners can have different instructions, but we're just going to follow our book's guidelines. And for ours, it's for quarts, you're going to do it at 11 pounds of pressure for 25 minutes. So we use ours, like I mentioned, mostly for, well, for a bunch of things. We use it for chicken noodle soup, chicken tortilla soup. We use it in casseroles. We use it to drink. Many, many recipes, as I'm sure you're aware, that call for chicken broth. So it's good to have your own homemade stores on hand.
Yeah, it is definitely a homestead staple around here. We definitely go through a lot of it. It beats buying it. It's not like you're going to save money per se. I don't know what's last time we bought chicken broth, but I don't know how expensive a thing.
Well, it's not
Swanson broth is, but
not necessarily expensive, but it's very hard to find any that doesn't have MSG and all of the additives. So check us out now on Instagram, where we're hoping to post more food-related posts, recipes, and just things we're doing in the kitchen.
yeah, so the Instagram will be more of Kelly's perspective as to what's going on here at Red Tool House. So be sure to check that out and follow.
It'll be sweeter.
Sweet.
A sweeter perspective. A more kinder, gentler perspective.
Won't be as much hatefulness.
That's right.
Won't break. You probably won't break nearly as many things as I'll break.
I don't know about that. There's no guarantees.
All right. Well, take care, everybody. That's your third glass tonight. We had to pull you up off the kitchen floor.
Getting crazy on the chicken broth.